this is a funny little story. I don't know how I should tell the story, but so
I know what's coming up.
So RMC is texting me and one of our other friends, and I don't know how it came up, but he was talking about Celeste, and I guess it was kind of like, oh, I wish you guys would play Celeste. No one's played it. Like, you tried it, but you know, it wasn't really your thing, and that's disappointing. And I mean, it wasn't, it was a fine conversation, but like him saying all that stuff got me thinking about it that day. So I was like, you know what? I think I will go back and try to play Celeste, but I didn't tell anybody that. I just thought that. And then the next day, RMC texts me, and he's like, hey, Jedi Fallen Order just got, you know, an update for it, so it plays on the PS5 with like nicer graphics or whatever. You know, I thought that'd be your thing. And for some reason, I was in the mood where I was like still thinking about playing Celeste, and I was like, you know what? You know, screw Jedi Fallen Order. Why would I want to do that? I've already played it. Like, what an uninspired game. You know, like things that I don't really feel about the game. I just kind of wanted to align with RMC about, because they're all things that he feels about the game. Then he was like, well, why the heck wouldn't you want to play it? I was just trying to do you a favor and let you know that, like, you love replaying games. Like, you just replayed four games. Like, you know, why would so then he got me thinking about it, and instead of playing Celeste, I started playing Fallen Order, and like then RMC was like, oh man, what did I do? Like, why have I even suggested
Yeah, I didn't
that?
know it's gonna push you off Celeste for Fallen Order.
Yeah, so I started playing Fallen Order, and I don't want to get in too deep with this because we've talked about this forever. I honestly have no idea why you feel the way you do about this game. It's a lot of fun. Nothing screams Star Wars more than this game. Like the music and the atmosphere, the level design is all so good. You've got like a lightsaber and you're using force powers, and it just looks and sounds so good and feels great. I honestly, I was expecting to play it again and be like, oh, I can see where RMC's coming from here, and here. And I totally didn't see it. Doesn't mean that, you know, I'm still, you know, that RMC's wrong and I'm right. Of course not. But like, I just, especially as a Star Wars fan, I can't believe you didn't like it at all. You know what I mean? Like, not even like a 7 or something.
I liked the music without a doubt, and that's about all I can give you.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Now that, you know, I don't like the Soul style gameplay where when you save, you know, your enemies come back and you have to do things over and over again, and there's a lot of frustrating gameplay segments. But I think overall, it's a wonderful game, especially for a Star Wars fan. I think I'll still continue through it. It is frustrating difficulty wise, but I think I'll still play it. But the most important thing is that I didn't let that get in the way. And Mom Brain, may I have a drum roll, please? I went back and I finished and beat Celeste.
Hey!
Now, what a game. What an experience. You know what? Just like I ended up selling a couple of copies of Undertale a few weeks ago, I'm thinking I'm going to hopefully sell a couple of copies of Celeste here. This game, talk about a game that if you didn't know anything about it, you wouldn't, like, you'd look at it from the surface level and you would just think it was some platformer game. Like, you wouldn't even think twice about the message or that a game like that could deliver such an impactful story. It's really something special, from the music to the gameplay and like how satisfying a lot of the gameplay moves are. And you know, as someone like me who can be considered a graphics whore, I don't, you know, at first don't really care for the graphics in Celeste, to be honest with you. It seems a little too archaic, but you could tell that every bit, because the game as a whole is so extremely polished, you know that they were, like, the look of the game is exactly what they were going for. And they have some they have some sprites in there or some animations that are so somehow so beautiful. So the main character doing her dash move is something that you do often, and just the animation of it is like so beautiful and intoxicating. It goes with the theme. Like, I may sound like a nutcase right now talking about this, but like, it's just such a whole encompassing experience as a game. You know that they thought about every second of this game. And there's musical themes in this. The music blew me away. And there's musical themes that come up. It's almost like a Hollywood film or like a musical or like an opera, where they bring out musical themes and then like subsequent songs use those themes, but in like a spooky way or in an introspective way or an exciting, vibrant, climb the mountain way. I don't know how else to put it, but what an amazing job on the soundtrack. And that pulls you through the experience. And here's another thing that I have to say. I probably should have started with this, but I didn't want people to think that, well, you think what you want to think. They put it in the game. The developers put this in the game. You can go into an assist mode and change accessibility options so that you could either get more dashes, or you can have unlimited stamina, or you could be what I ended up doing, invincible. And like, you think that would take away the fun of the game. To be honest with you, it doesn't. Like, yeah, there is a certain challenge to just going through the way that, you should or you can. I don't want to say should, because there's no way you should play the game. But like, the challenge comes kind of from within, and you set your own challenge level. And even if you're playing on full invulnerability, like I ended up doing, I still got so much out of the story and out of the experience of climbing this mountain. And the gameplay was still fun, to be honest with you. To be honest, I was still having fun. It's very satisfying to traverse these levels, no matter how you do it. It gave me a sense of, I guess, wonder and awe at what some gamers like RMC can pull off. Because I know that RMC, you beat the game without, I'm sure, without any of those options.
This is true.
And I don't know how you did it. I mean, so much respect for you for that. Like, that's like some wizard level gaming. And
well, platformers are my bread and butter. If I'm going to be good at any genre, it's going to be platformer.
This is not like just a platform. It's not like Mario had its challenges, but it's not like that, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like literally the last level of the game is, or second to last level of the game is still teaching you new mechanics, and you're like, oh my god, I got to learn something new at the end here. This is crazy.
It's really something. And like, even with the story too, like the story I thought was going to go one way. I thought it was going to be real cut and dry. Like I got the subtext of it very early, but I was like, okay, so what are we going to do? Like, this is going to happen, obviously. And like, it didn't happen. And in fact, the opposite happened. And it's something that happened that I didn't know I wanted. And I don't think that what's great is the character you were playing as didn't know she wanted it either. And then through the trials and tribulation, like, I don't even want to, is this spoilers? I'm trying not to be spoilery.
You haven't gotten into specifics. I think you're okay, but I can't tell you, just from my perspective, how satisfying it is, because literally a week ago we were talking about Celeste, and you were like, oh, you were something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, you were like, you're crazy. What kind of story are you talking about in this game? There's no story in this game. And from you to go from that to where you are now is extremely satisfying. I'm very happy you got that out of it.
It's really wonderful, and I think I'm glad for the accessibility options, because I wouldn't have been able to experience the story, and it was worth it, because it's a slow burn, and sometimes if you're worried about getting through a very difficult, set of platforming dungeons, you forget why you're even doing it. You forget what the conversations were at the last campfire between the characters, or you forget where you're going or why. And I mean, I started the game back in January a year ago, played 2.5 hours, and it got too difficult for me, and I quit. And thank goodness I went back, because it can mean something different for everyone, but for me it wasn't about the platforming. It was more about the experience and the story that it told.
The chat is feeling inspired, too. They're saying maybe you will go back to Undertale someday.
I beat up. Can we move on from Undertale, please? I'm so sick of that.
Undertale was your lowest moment, but now you've risen like a phoenix through Celeste.
That's beautiful.
Well, how are we spelling phoenix?
You've risen like a phoenix.
Thank you. Well, here, look. You don't have to play Celeste if you don't want to. Don't take my word for anything. Clearly, ever. I mean, I'm the most flip-floppy gamer in the history of games, but I'm just telling you, this one had quite a profound effect on me, and it was still satisfying, even with all the assist options on.
That's why they're there, to make it so that you can still play the game and enjoy it without not wanting to play because of frustration.
It was great. It was great. I wanna talk more in depth with people who've played it and beaten it.
I know.
And it's just like, a game, like, you could look at a screenshot of that game and be like, this looks like something that I would have not played as an 8-year-old kid on the SNES or the NES.
See, it's funny because when I first saw the screens for the game and the trailer, I was like, man, this is really gorgeous. I know it's retro looking, but I liked the style of it. But yes, I totally get how someone would look at it and be like, well, this is rudimentary.
Well, in motion, it looks great.
Yeah.
And with the presentation of it, the controls are top notch, and the music, I cannot stress enough. I was just listening to the soundtrack. Thanks to you, RMC, for sending it to me.
Yeah, everybody go support Lena Rain on Twitter and her Bandcamp. She's an amazing artist. She does soundtracks for games and then just her own albums, and it's unbelievable stuff. She's so talented.
But it's great when a game can come together where all aspects of it fit the whole perfectly. Not my butthole, the whole experience perfectly. And it gives you it has you thinking about it after the fact. I'm gonna listen to that soundtrack often, and I'm gonna remember certain parts of the game, and I'm gonna remember the experience of it all, and it was just very satisfying. I'm so happy that I went back. I'm glad that whatever is inside me that holds me back often took a day off that day. I don't know why.
I'm glad it did.
Yeah, but thank goodness. So I don't know what else to really say without getting into spoilers and stuff, so I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, what a mature and satisfying story to have told through something that looks like that. And I've learned to appreciate those graphics, but you'd never think that something like that could tell a story that gets you in it deep down inside. And
go ahead.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. That's all I'm going to say.
Mature like Honey Pop mature?
Yes, lots of nudity and sex content. Thanks so much for checking out this highlight to the Go Nintendo podcast. If you'd like to subscribe to the podcast, you can check out the description below and subscribe to this channel for more podcast highlights.